Hello and welcome to DESC's Bitter Lake Project groundbreaking virtual event. My name is Sandra Nielsen and I am DESC's Director of Facilities and Property Development, and I will be your host today. When construction is completed, DESC Bitter Lake will be home for 100 individuals currently experiencing homelessness and will be part of our permanent supportive housing portfolio. Today, I'm excited that we have the opportunity to recognize the public funders that make this project successful and made the project possible. I'm also very excited to introduce one of the most recent residents of Hobson Place. But first, let me introduce DESC's Executive Director, Daniel Malone.
Thank you, Sandra. So, a lot of times it occurs to us that people don't actually know what we mean when we talk about permanent supportive housing. So, let me just take a minute to explain to you what it is that we mean. Permanent supportive housing is housing. We're building an apartment building here for people to live in. They will have leases. They will come and go as they please. They will be just like a tenant in any kind of apartment building in the community. What separates permanent supportive housing from maybe a lot of other rental housing is that it brings with it a set of additional services and on-site supports that make it possible for people to be successful in their housing and retain it for long periods of time. We're creating this kind of housing for people who really haven't had any kind of housing for really long periods of time, and many of them are struggling with different kinds of conditions that make it hard for them to carry out the functions of a normal tenancy without some additional level of support. And so that's what supportive housing is doing. Housing is a basic fundamental that we all need. It's hard, I think, for anybody to imagine their life without having that, safe and stable, consistent place to return to when they're done with their activities out and about in the community. And that goes for people with disabilities, including people with really severe kinds of conditions that have resulted in them going into crisis many times. And oftentimes when you go into crisis, you end up in the hospital. You end up violating the law and going to jail. And ultimately, those kinds of situations cost a lot of money. The public pays for those kinds of services, and it gets very, very expensive for people living on the street in terms of cost to the broader community. Once people become housed, they have the opportunity to moderate the kinds of activities that they're involved in out and about in the community. And what we have found over and over again is that that results in people having far fewer crises that bring them to the attention of law enforcement or to the attention of emergency medical systems. And that ultimately saves a lot of money to the community overall, and has people living indoors where they're safer, more secure, happier. It's a win-win for everybody. With this new building in the Bitter Lake neighborhood, we're just so excited to create home for 100 people who haven't had it in a really long period of time, and in a setting that is just really nice and tranquil. It's a beautiful part of town, beautiful neighborhood with different kinds of amenities, walkable parks. And at our own site itself, we'll have a very nice outdoor space for the tenants inside the building, in addition to the typical indoor common spaces that we create for people's recreation and services and just overall enjoyment. So we're really excited about creating this building in a place that is clearly a nice area for folks to live, and we'll have those additional amenities that'll make people feel really comfortable.
Thank you, Daniel. We first learned about this project from our longtime partners, Bellwether Housing, who will also be our development consultant. When Bitter Lake is built, they will also be our neighbor and have long shared our values of ending homelessness. I'm happy to introduce Emily Alvarado, the director of the City of Seattle Office of Housing.
Congratulations to DESC as you start construction on your 16th permanent supportive housing building in Seattle. My name is Emily Alvarado, and I'm the director of the City of Seattle's Office of Housing, and we are honored to invest resources from our voter-approved Seattle Housing Levy in the development of this building. DESC understands the link between housing and health. We all know that permanent supportive housing is the evidence-based solution to homelessness, but DESC, a national leader in housing first, knows that long-term housing is foundational to successful health interventions, especially for our most vulnerable neighbors. This building is one of 6 from Seattle's permanent supportive housing pilot. And through that pilot, we sought to challenge whether we can double a single year's production of permanent supportive housing. And the response to the funding announcement was a resounding yes. With adequate resources, we can scale permanent supportive housing. And this project shows that we can achieve our other goals of accelerated construction and lower costs. We look forward to this talented team bringing forward this project in record time. Again, congratulations to DESC, and thanks for all you do to build a more just Seattle.
Thank you, Emily. Up next, City of Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan.
What a great way to kick off the month of June. Less than a year ago, Seattle's Office of Housing launched a pilot project. We wanted to see if we could not only double a year's worth of permanent supportive housing production, but also accelerate the construction timeline and do so at a lower cost. We were delighted to see that DESC enthusiastically answered the call, with 2 properties that will deliver more than a third of the 600 brand new units that are advancing under this pilot. DESC Bitter Lake, breaking ground as we speak, is one of those 2 projects. We couldn't be prouder to be part of this project and delivering 100 studio apartments for people experiencing chronic mental illness or multiple special needs, intensive on-site case management under the Housing First model that DESC is famous for, quality architecture and construction that will stand the test of time. Now, those who are wondering the what of this development, that's it. But the how is also important. By answering the call for innovation, DESC and its development partners are adopting new construction techniques that will both expedite construction and reduce the costs. I also want to thank Nathan Torgelson, Director of our Department of Construction and Inspections, for working tirelessly with his team to streamline the permitting process around supportive housing projects that are so essential to our neighbors experiencing homelessness and our community as a whole. Thanks to DESC Bitter Lake, 100 of our neighbors will move off the streets and into permanent homes in year 1. Even better, this permanent housing infrastructure will continue to serve our most vulnerable residents for decades to come. Thank you, DESC, for rising to the challenge, for all the work you do in our community, and congratulations on reaching this important milestone.
Up next, another one of our longtime partners, Jan Lasky at Bank of America.
On behalf of Bank of America, we thank DESC for the opportunity to be part of the groundbreaking for Bitter Lake. The health and humanitarian crisis of the past year brought into focus even more the need to act with urgency and to address the growing housing crisis in our region. Bank of America strives to foster economic mobility in the communities we serve, which guides our strategy in partnering with community organizations across a variety of sectors. DESC is a longtime partner of ours because they have the power to bring to life their vision of a community where no person is abandoned, ignored, or experiencing homelessness. This critical concept of community can best be achieved through creating a home. And home is a powerful concept, the place where one's life can center, daily needs can be met, and opportunities for joy can abound. And it's often the launch pad to so much more. We know that starting with a home is the right place to begin, especially for those with significant challenges and high needs in many aspects of their lives. For many years now, DESC has been an important part of Bank of America's broader investments in Seattle. Our community development group provided a record nearly $6 billion to help create homes around the country. And in Seattle, this meant financing that resulted in more than 640 units of much needed affordable housing. That housing is for individuals, families, seniors, veterans, people with special needs, and the formerly homeless. Using our equity and loan capital to help make the Bitter Lake possible is a demonstration of Bank of America's commitment to economic mobility. In partnership with Enterprise Community Partners, we invested $20 million in permanent equity to keep the housing affordable and provided the construction loan to build these wonderful homes. Our local community development team worked closely with DESC, Enterprise, Bellwether, the city, and the state to get where we are today. Additionally, last year, Bank of America invested nearly $8 million in the Pacific Northwest in unrestricted funding to local nonprofits, with a focus on alleviating the unprecedented impacts to health, food insecurity, jobs, education, and of course, housing. We are proud to stand with DESC in creating yet another solution toward helping people get back on the path of self-sufficiency. As is typical with projects like this, equity was only one piece of a complex puzzle put together by the outstanding staff of DESC with the help of a very talented team of advisors and partners. From our team to yours, we have tremendous respect and appreciation for the many ways you reach and support people in our community who are struggling with challenges. Congratulations and thank you to the entire village for making it possible to see 100 homes open to residents at Bitter Lake next year. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Another of our longtime valued partners, Philip Porter with Enterprise.
My name is Philip Porter, and all of us at Enterprise are pleased to invest over $20 million in the Bitter Lake community to create 100 homes. DESC's permanent supportive housing aligns with our mission, which is to make home and community places of pride, power, and belonging, and platforms for resilience and upward mobility. We are so pleased to continue our partnership with DESC and the City of Seattle and look forward to the day residents can move in.
Thank you, Phil. And now introducing Director Lisa Brown from the Department of Commerce.
Commerce's goal is to strengthen communities. One important way we do that is by partnering with organizations like DESC to make sure everyone has a place to call home and no one is left outside. Our Housing Trust Fund program has allowed us to invest over $1.2 billion since 1986, creating over 55,000 units of affordable housing for people all over Washington State. We've been proud to fund DESC projects almost every year and are so appreciative of our ongoing partnership. Projects like Bitter Lake allow us to meet people where they are and provide not just a roof over their head, but also the treatment services they need. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to the day when we can celebrate this opening in person.
We have to remind ourselves that all of this really is about building a home. Meet Bear Woman Who Stands Tall.
My name is Bear Woman Who Stands Tall. I grew up on the street of Seattle. I kept to myself. I stayed in like abandoned houses or schools. I had to survive on whatever means possible. You get used to living outside among people that know what it's like to be a survivor. And I happen to be one of those people that happen to need to survive. When they told me that I was going to be moving into this place, I was excited because I hadn't had a place to live in so long that I didn't know what to think. Oh, I fell in love with it. I like the way that when they told me when I moved in that the furniture was mine and that I didn't have to worry about feeling unsafe. I was safe here. I sleep real comfortable on that bed. It's really nice to have a bed off the floor instead of on the floor. Because when I was homeless, I always stayed in doorways and stuff, and I always felt like my bed was never high enough. And I like the staff because the staff always looks out for you when you're not feeling right. And I have days where I don't feel good about myself. I want to learn more about cooking because I want to learn how to bake and make things like cookies and pies and different things like pork chops and do eggs and bacon and stuff like that. DESC has encouraged me to be myself, encouraged me to be always positive about what life can be like. And if you do what you say you're gonna do, you make it. So I basically told myself that I gotta make it. And that, DESC was there when I needed them and has been there ever since. So I basically have been doing what I promised myself I'd do and not sliding backwards.
And now it's time where we put the shovel in the ground. We're sad that you couldn't join us in person, but happy that you're able to join from your desk or your couch.
All right, well, Sandra and I are here at the site, ready for the ceremonial groundbreaking. You can see we're underway already, but we still need to take a minute to celebrate truly officially getting underway. So here we are. Thanks for joining us and thanks for helping us make this a reality. Ready?
Thank you for joining us today. A sincere thank you to all of the funders that made this possible. We can't wait for when you're joining us for our grand opening.